A lot of people wonder who are the Zionists. A lot of people believe that the Zionists are Jews, but they're not. They claim to be indigenous to a land they have no ties to. First of all, the Zionists were the reason for the Jewish suffering in Germany during the Holocaust. Because the Zionists, after they committed all their crimes in Europe and Germany, what happened was uh, the whole entire world ganged up on them because of their crimes and because of what happened to the Jews. So they had no choice but to convert to Judaism or Judaism and call themselves the Zionists. But in reality, they are the Nazis that killed the Jews in Europe. So after the world ganged up on the Germans of what they did to the Jews during the Holocaust, so the Nazis had no choice but to change their name as they flee from Europe. So they had the option to go to Kenya, Australia, or Palestine. So now the minority in Palestine were what? Jews. So they said, okay, we can control the Jews because they're a minority. So we can control them. We can claim to be Jews, and they turned the religion into a nationalism. So because the Jewish teaching tells us clearly that the Jews have no nationality, no land. They believe, the Jews themselves believe so because they were in Palestine before the Zionists showed up or the new Nazis, which they called themselves the Zionists. And this is what happened. They ran away from Europe. The Jews left Europe to save themselves because of what the Zionists did to them in Europe, which the Zionists are really the Nazis. This is why the Jews are against the Zionists, because the Jews says Judaism is a religion, but Zionism is nationalism. They changed the religion to nationalism because they're not following the religion. They forced the Jews to leave. They were living in Morocco, Tunisia, Egypt, Assyria, Palestine, Libya. They were around Iran. They were living around the Middle East, the Gulf, Africa. They gathered them all and had them all go to Palestine. But those Jews knew that they had no land because according to their Torah, it says, you establish a state once the Messiah comes back. That's when you establish a state. So the Zionists changed all that because they're really not Jews. They needed a way to flee from Europe from their crimes. And those Zionists today are called Zionists, but in reality, they're really called, they are really the Nazis that were the cause of the Jewish suffering in Germany during the Holocaust. And now they're in Palestine doing the same that was done in Germany to the Palestinians. So those Zionists could never be Jews because they don't follow the religion. They just happen to learn the language and barely study the religion because they made their own religion because they don't follow what the Jews follow. They don't follow what the Jewish people are. I mean, what the Jews, like the Zionists don't follow the Jewish teaching. What the Zionists are doing are they're claiming Jewish religion, like Judaism, when they don't follow that religion. Like Zionism has nothing to do with Judaism. Zionism is a nationalism movement, and Judaism is a religion that Jews follow and respect. And they know what the book says. And what the book says is the exact same thing. What the Zionists are doing, the opposite of what the Jewish teaching is asking them to do. So this clearly means that they are not Jews, they are Nazis. But they had to change their name from Nazis to Zionists in order for them to survive after they escaped Europe. This is what happened. Though this is who these Zionists are. A lot of people are going to be like, "Oh, you need to study history." No, study history. This is history. This is what happened. A lot of Jews out there cannot stand Zionists, but because Jews in the world are the minority, there are not as many Jews out there. So it's easier for the Zionists to control them because Jews are the minority when you go to Palestine or anywhere in the world. And they're the easiest to control. So the Zionists chose Judaism because they couldn't convert to Islam when you have like almost what 1.6, 1.7 billion Muslims in the world. They can't control that. They can't control Christians. Nazis were Christians, but even though they were Christians, they were fake Christians because what they've done to the Jews is against Christianity. But at the same time, they converted to Judaism to escape Europe. So when they go out there, like, oh no, we're the Jews that suffered in Germany. This is why we. So the world kind of fell for that lie. But then when they occupied Palestine and they were doing like burning people alive, doing the same exact thing what they were doing in Germany, then people were like, okay, but you guys are always crying for the world to sympathize on what happened to you during the Holocaust. But you're doing the same thing to the Palestinians. So how could we sympathize with you when you're doing the same to the Palestinians? Like if you want a revenge, you have to go back to the Nazis and revenge, like do something to them. Why are you doing it to the Palestinians? Like you came, occupy their land, steal their homes, massacre the people, expel almost 1 million Palestinians from Palestine for what? For what? Because you are indigenous to the land. That's not how you take over a land. Even if you were there 9,000 or 1 million years ago, it does not give you the right to come massacre, occupy a country, and kill all its people, and then say we have the right to self-determination. When the Jews themselves were already living in, then you say you have the right to self-determination when the Jews were already living in Palestine with no problem. The Jews were already living in Syria, Iraq, Iran, Morocco, Egypt with no problem. But you forced them to leave those countries to come to Palestine so you can establish an illegal state, even though the real Jews said, but we are not allowed to establish a state according to our book unless our Messiah comes. But you did not listen to that because you're not a Jew. You are the new Nazis, which they call themselves now the Zionists. And those are the people that are corrupting the world with the whole gender policy, agreeing on homosexuality, because they want to depopulate the world. They want to invade our children's minds and occupy their minds so it can be easier for the next generation of the Zionists to occupy the world. Because when you have a world that believes that gender policy is okay, homosexuality is okay, then you would have no one to defend the country. You would have a world that is so easy to invade and control. Because before you control a country, back then it was with the weapon. Nowadays, it's controlling your mind, making you believe that there is no two genders, there's 567 genders, making you believe that everything that God is against is okay, that they even say God does not exist. So this is why the Zionists are the new Nazis, which they had the agenda from 100 years ago to destroy the world and take over the world, because their God is Lucifer, not God that created us. Those are the Zionists, the new Nazis.